James T. Kirk is dead in Star Trek, but here are 6 ways William Shatner's character can still return. Even though William Shatner's iconic Star Trek character died in 1994 Star Trek Generations, there are several sci-fi tropes often used by the space opera that could allow the actor to reprise his seminal role. With Shatner in talks with Paramount to return as James T. Kirk, the possibility of his return to the franchise feels a little greater compared to recent years, although nothing has been confirmed just yet. The actor has declared that any comeback has to mean something, rather than just being for the sake of taking place, but it also needs to make canonical sense. After making his debut as Captain Kirk as part of Star Trek, the original series cast, Shatner went on to voice the character again in Star Trek, the animated series. He also reprised the role in several Star Trek movies before his exit in 1995, when he starred alongside Patrick Stewart's Captain Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek Generations. Kirk has appeared in the franchise since Shatner's departure, played in the Kelvin Timeline movies by Chris Pine, and by Paul Wesley in Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. However, it really would be something else to have the original actor back. Star Trek: Lower Decks Season 5 recently reminded everyone of just how vast the franchise's multiverse is. It's not a trope that Star Trek often explores, but it does it just as well as any other saga when it chooses to. Star Trek's multiverse has already allowed the return of certain legacy actors in alternate versions of their original roles, so there's no reason why the same opportunity can't be afforded to Shatner. One possibility is for Shatner to reprise his role as Emperor Tiberius, the version of Kirk from Star Trek's Mirror Universe who appeared in the original series, Mirror, Mirror. The fate of the villainous iteration of Kirk's character isn't known, as he only ever appeared in one episode. So it's very possible that the Emperor is still alive and thriving in the Mirror Universe, and could cross over into the Prime Universe like Michelle Yeoh's Emperor Giorgio in Star Trek Discovery. At the moment, William Shatner has aged out of playing Kirk in Star Trek's Prime Universe, as the main version of the character canonically perished in Star Trek Generations during his team-up with Captain Picard. If Paramount is willing or able to digitally de-age Shatner for the entirety of his potential comeback, it won't be as much of a problem, but doing so would be time-consuming and expensive. Plus, it might just not look that great. That being said, Kirk's death could be retconned using time travel. There are many Trekkies still unhappy with how Kirk left the franchise in Star Trek Generations, so a retcon such as this would solve that issue. Plus, it would mean Prime Kirk could live to an age much closer to Shatner's current age. That way, the nonagenarian actor could simply reprise the role without the need for digital intervention or high-concept multiverse storylines. Star Trek's transporters can be temperamental and buggy machines. There are several episodes throughout the franchise that prove just how many things can go wrong when trying to beam a character from one location to another. Just a couple of examples are Tuvok Tim Russ and Neelix Ethan Phillips becoming a single entity in Star Trek, Voyager's Tuvix, and Commander Riker Jonathan Frakes discovering he has a transporter clone in Star Trek, The Next Generation's Second Chances. For Shatner to come back, the TNG storyline would serve as a more suitable example. Shatner's age would likely need to be applied to the transporter clone, but after a line like, "The temporal compensators degraded after decades of neglect," it would make sense why Kirk's pattern wasn't perfectly preserved. Captain James Kirk, the indomitable leader of the USS Enterprise, met his canonical end in Star Trek Generations 1994, sacrificing himself to save millions. For decades, fans have debated the nature and finality of that death. Though his demise is etched into the franchise's timeline, death has rarely been a permanent condition in Star Trek. William Shatner, now in his 90s, remains as passionate and charismatic as ever, even teasing his openness to a return. So, how could Shatner's Kirk make a comeback? Here are 6 ways the iconic character could still boldly go where no man has gone before. 1. Time travel shenanigans again. Time travel is as Star Trek as warp drives and Spock's eyebrow. The franchise has repeatedly bent the rules of spacetime, whether it's the Guardian of Forever slingshotting around the sun or Q snapping his fingers. A mission gone awry in the 25th century could send a crew back to Kirk's era, or pluck him from a key moment just before death. Perhaps a desperate plea from the future sees Kirk recruited for one last mission, allowing Shatner's version to share the screen with newer captains like Pike or Burnham. 2. The Mirror Universe twist. In the Mirror Universe, things are darker, meaner, and more mustache-twirling. The Prime Kirk died heroically, but his mirror counterpart could still be alive, aged, dangerous, and still in command. Introducing Mirror Kirk opens the door to a complex character arc. What if the villain isn't fully evil anymore? What if Mirror Kirk, hardened but introspective in his twilight years, seeks redemption? It would let Shatner stretch his acting muscles while playing a twisted version of the captain we love. 3. Digital resurrection via hologram or AI. The Star Trek universe already features advanced holograms. The Doctor from Voyager, anyone? And sentient AI. It's entirely plausible that Starfleet could have preserved Kirk's personality matrix, logs, and tactical instincts in digital form. A new ship might activate Captain Kirk 2.0, an emergency command hologram modeled on a legendary officer. It wouldn't be the real Kirk, but imagine the gravitas of a mentor hologram voiced and performed by Shatner guiding a younger crew through a crisis. Emotional, meta, and pure fan service. 4. A resurrection by Q. If there's one omnipotent being who never lets death get in the way of good storytelling, it's Q. With Picard Season 2 proving Q's knack for bending reality is still very much intact, the idea of Q resurrecting Kirk for fun isn't far-fetched. Perhaps Q feels Kirk's story was cut short and wants to give him a second chance, either to correct a mistake, serve as a cosmic test for another captain, or simply because he enjoys meddling. A reunion between Shatner's Kirk and John D. Lancey's Q? That's a multiverse mic drop waiting to happen. 5. A lost recording or unseen mission. Not every return has to be about reversing death. Star Trek has always thrived on episodic storytelling and lost tales. A miniseries or a film could center on an untold mission set between the original series and the Wrath of Khan. With the right script, de-aging tech, or clever lighting, we could see Shatner play a slightly older Kirk confronting an event that shaped his final years. This wouldn't undo his death, it would enrich it. Think of it as Rogue One for the Star Trek universe. 6. A multiverse crossover. Now that multiverses are mainstream, Star Trek could embrace the concept without breaking canon. The Kelvin timeline already established alternate realities, so why not take it further? Imagine a rift between universes, one where Kirk never died, and Prime Universe characters must join forces with him to prevent a universal collapse. This would allow Shatner to play a version of Kirk who aged differently, shaped by a different set of galactic events. It's the ultimate what-if scenario, and a fittingly grand return for one of Sci-Fi's most legendary captains. The final frontier isn't final. James T. Kirk may be dead, but William Shatner's portrayal continues to live in the hearts of fans. In a universe where reality bends, timelines fracture, and technology borders on magic, the return of Captain Kirk isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Whether through a heartfelt flashback, a holographic mentor, or a multiversal collision, there's still time for one last mission. After all, Star Trek has never been,